Welcome to the summer edition of the Lawrence County Oral History Project. And this is going to be a special program talking about looking back at the July 4th of the past. And I have got a great couple of guests for you. It's good to be back in the summer. It seems like it's been a while since we've had actually a program and that we've recorded a program, so it's kind of good to be back. And of course, school is out. They have summer session going on, so a lot of the kids are gone, and the summer is flying by real quick. But it's good to be back in, and we're going to be talking about July 4th. And one thing that whenever you get older, you find out that the great memories of the past, especially involving holidays, well, they just didn't happen. There were usually some people behind these great memories, and whenever I look back at July 4th and the holiday of July 4th and the great times around July 4th, well, there were great people that were behind these events, putting these events together, actually working very hard to make sure that we can have great memories, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. I've got some great memories of July 4th, and as of today here in 2008, you know, Bedford and Lawrence County has always had some great July 4th celebrations. In fact, for an area this size and a community this size, we have, when I've traveled around in other communities around the 4th, we have still one of the best July 4th celebrations that goes on, and it's been a tradition in Lawrence County and in this area to have these great 4ths. And it's because of people that I have on this program today and many other people just like them that care enough about the community that they will work, raise money, that they will put their heart, their soul, their blood into in order to make sure that we can have great July 4ths here in Lawrence County. So in the next hour or so, as we talk about this program, we'll think back to about your July 4th and the great ones you had in the past. Well, I'm going to introduce Jay Fiddler first. Jay is just on the other end of the table, and a lot of you know Jay when you think of community people. Well, Jay Fiddler is one of them. And Jay, it's good to have you on the program today.
Thank you.
And Jay is currently Johnny Signs. Is your connection of today?
Still have been for years.
Yeah. How many years you been there with Johnny Signs there, Jay?
Well, of course, looking at the time factor, I worked with my dad when I started at 8 years old, and then I took the shop over in 1959. So this is my 50th year of operating Johnny Signs.
That's right.
So that's
well, Jay, who did your father start Johnny Signs?
my dad started Johnny Signs. Actually, the highway that runs in that's Washington Avenue now was Dixie Highway, and of course he started doing signage up and down the highway there, and then it just, of course, he was also rebuilding wrecked automobiles. I think back during that era in '38 that you done about everything to stay alive, and we've kind of followed the tradition of in the sign business today that you don't specialize in one particular thing, you do it all, and we do.
Johnny Signs is one of those great companies that have been around that I can always identify with my youth up to today that has been a solid business in our community. And now there's always something I found out that I didn't know already, as we always do when we have this program, but I didn't know that the old Washington Avenue was Dixie Highway.
Dixie Highway all the way to Miami, Florida.
Is that right?
And yeah, quite a story on that, Norm. If you ever get the chance to check that out, it was started by a developer out of Indianapolis, and every now and then as you go south, you'll pick up Dixie Highway, and it's interesting. And
well, I knew Dixie Highway extended behind the Apple Acres. I knew that was part of Dixie Highway, but I didn't know Washington Avenue.
Washington Avenue all the way through. In fact, I have petitions on a piece of property that I bought, and those petitions were signed by the adjacent property owners to O Street at that time, and that petition was signed for easements to widen Dixie Highway.
Is that
and
right?
Kind of interesting. A lot of history.
Where did Dixie Highway go through town? Washington Avenue, but when you get off of Washington Avenue, where would have gone from there?
Well, I think it went up to Lincoln, as I remember it, and John could probably help there, but I think it went up Lincoln
Came
Avenue.
through Olytic,
It
across
came
the bottom
came
and
through
into
Olytic.
the same way that we go to Olytic, only it curved around through town, came down where L Street intersects with 16th Street,
Okay.
southbound, then you turn to the right and go over to, to the high school, the old high school, and turn left on O Street. Well, that was the main way.
That was the main way.
And it followed that route all the way out to O Street, to where O Street becomes Washington Avenue, and then out to Hillcrest Circle and down over the hill. Smith had a gas station at the bottom of that hill.
Smith had a gas station at the base of the hill there.
And a real
of course,
small,
right before the old iron bridge.
Yeah. So I can't imagine, as I sit there now at 450 and 37 coming back from Williams, which is my home, all the traffic couldn't possibly come through Bedford.
No,
I don't know.
way.
These people certainly aren't, I thought Dixie Highway went to Mitchell. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It went all the way to Florida, though.
All the way to Florida.
Okay.
But it's now a main artery, the new 37, all the way from people come this way to get to Indianapolis and Bloomington and places. So it carries a lot more traffic than just Lawrence County, and a lot of traffic back and forth to French Lick and the casinos have put a lot more traffic on the line.
Well, as you probably know now, I also have John Williams with me today. The reason why I went ahead and I introduced Jay first, because I knew once John got going, it'd be hard for Jay to get in and work.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that Jay at least got to mention his name. John Williams, the longtime mayor of Bedford, I believe about 24 years. Is that right, John?
That's
hey,
right.
boy, I've got a great memory. So you were around 18, not 1800.
Yeah,
Oh, now, I was thinking
1800s.
you were the mayor of Bedford during the Civil War period. That's not right, though, is it?
We had a lot of civil uprisings and unrest, but we didn't have any. Yeah, it was 1980 to
1980.
That's when I took office.
Who was the mayor before you, John?
Lovell Harp. Mayor Harp.
Okay. And how long was he in?
2 terms. He was there for 8 years.
You know, you were actually mayor longer in the city of Bedford than FDR was president, and he was voted in for 4 years. You know, so in fact, and he didn't make it through all the 12 years, but you were double his amount.
Well, I served 6 consecutive 4-year terms in the mayor's office.
Now, how did you manage to get elected that many times? It was because of your brilliance, your great campaigning, your extraordinary good looks. What was it that got you elected?
I think all those things.
Well, that's pretty. Did you ever have a Democrat that ever voted for you, John?
Oh, yeah.
Did you?
In fact,
you can verify that.
well, I was the first Republican mayor in 16 years here. Mayor Harp, who was a friend, was in for 2 terms, and this preceding that, it was Mayor Houck, who was in for 2 terms, both Democrats. So it wasn't a foregone conclusion at my time that I was elected that if you were a Republican, you were going to be elected to the mayor's office. So I was elected and took office in 1980, and I loved being mayor. Every day was a special day, and there never was a day I hated to get up and go to work. Now, some days are better than others, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it was a real experience and an opportunity to serve and to do a few things that, based our changes and the things that we proceeded with based on how many people would be benefiting from what we perceive, whether we could afford it, whether we needed it or not. There were lots of things to take into consideration.
Well, there could be a whole program just on you being mayor.
Well, I don't know about that, but I enjoy being the mayor, and I'll always be grateful to the Bedford community for leaving me in office long enough to get a few things done that, quite honestly, I felt very strongly about. And we accomplished quite a bit, and other things that we didn't do. But there's a limit to what a small community, well, most any community can really do and what they really need and what they can really afford. So
I guess if you're a mayor, you can get your name put on things in the town. I know that there's Harp Commons that is downtown. So
I had
that
the
was after
opportunity.
Mayor Harp.
I had the opportunity to do that. Lovell was a good friend, and I went to see Lovell before I ever ran for mayor to see if he'd planned on running for another term. I wouldn't have sought the office, but the opportunity came for that park, which was a replacement of Hale Furniture used to be there. The Toggery used to be there, both of course on the west side of the square, and it's been brought up to speed over the years, and it. Without just an empty space, it's got a little gazebo in there and all. And I had an opportunity to cut a ribbon to open that, and my thought was Harp Park, but that didn't I thought it flowed.
I-
But it was a bit much, and so we went to, someone changed it to Harp Commons.
Yeah.
But the place, it's an opportunity to honor one of our mayors, and
it is a great honor.
so yeah, that was great, great to have a chance to do that.
You had Harp Commons, you have Hawk House,
Yeah.
that's located there, so that was named after a former mayor. You have Murray Forest Park,
Doc
and you were
Murray.
also, I think, involved with that with one of our past mayors, I believe in the 1940s.
Well, Murray Forest Park, named after Henry Dot Murray, the youngest mayor that Bedford ever had, and probably the most popular. He was in during a time of depression, late 20s, early 30s. Good mayor, good guy. Everybody knew him, everybody liked him. He was in a tough position as a mayor of a community that everything was going down, and in the depression days, and that Murray Forest Park had been purchased by a private group, as I understand it. Jay, you may remember more about that than I do, and it was going to be a place to develop, and a couple hundred acres maybe, or a little less. I don't remember exactly how much, but then over the years it didn't develop, and later on it was acquired by the city of Bedford. But it came into being while Mayor Dot Murray was in office. So we had an opportunity to expand it and make it softball. Slow pitch softball has been a big item here in our community and continues to be. And we were trying to play all these leagues, all the teams out at Otis Park on one diamond. And we're going to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm proud of Murray Forest Park because there wasn't a dime's worth of tax money that went into that. That was all voluntary. And construction companies came in and with dozers and earth movers and moved that around, and we had donations of fencing and lighting, and it just was an example of the community wanting something badly enough to chip in and do it, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, when I remember back, John, I can remember that area being pretty well wooded, but also there was a dump there, and I can remember going, and there's a good example of the community coming together, because that was a dump. I can remember the mounds of trash in there that is absolutely, I couldn't have envisioned back then that would be such a beautiful facility as it is today.
Well, it was well located, and every day, as I understand it, now this took place before I ever took office, but prior to that time, the way that Bedford disposed of its trash was to go out every day and collect the trash, then go out to Murray Forest Park. Now it's back away from where the ball diamonds are in the schools. I want to give the impression here that we've got hazardous waste in the school lots and this kind of stuff. They take a backhoe or some kind of a digging machine, dig a hole, and bury Bedford's waste trash that day in that hole. Next day, dig another hole. Trash, trash, trash. So that was for a long time. There were no rules or regulations regarding landfills, burying of trash, this sort of business. There lots of folks think that maybe it was a hazardous material. I did hire an environmental engineering firm out of Indianapolis several years ago when I was in the mayor's office. I dug several holes out there as deep as they could go, looking for any kind of contamination. Found none. So it turned into a real nice facility for the city. And of course the History Fest, which you were very much a part of, is being held out there. Yeah,
the History Festival is there every April, and it is a great place to have a place like that.
And we had the good sense to leave many of the trees. It's just a lovely spot, and it's something to be proud of, and our community, because they made it. This community needed it, wanted it, chipped in together, and made it what it is.
Hey, we have a great community. We have a great community, great people. Jay, you're one of them because you've been a part of this community. You have, your dad, I didn't know your dad, but your dad must have been community-minded person, because it was evidently instilled in you that you just don't have a business to make money. I mean, I know we have to make money.
Norm.
There you go.
It's not what it's about.
What is the important thing about? I mean, you guys have been community focused. Your business has been one that has not just it has been a solid contributor to our. And why is that?
Well, because I learned at an early age that you've got to give back. You've got to put back. I mean, so many people today. It just seems like it's take and run, but we've been involved in projects for as many years as I can remember. When I was 21 years old, I asked to get in the J.C.'s. I felt it was a great organization, and you know what? I have benefited so much from that organization in my lifetime, and because so many things that you do today is so important to the community. They don't really look at it, but all in all, it is so important to keep a community going. Mm-hmm. And as long as I'm able, I'm still going to help. I'm still going to do things because I think that is what makes a community a great community. And it's like John said, we got great people here.
We do.
And we got people that they don't know how to get involved with community projects, but there's so many ways. I know John probably gets tired of so many activities that he's been in down through the years. And of course, looking at him as mayor, I think, my goodness, I know he goes to 2 or 3 dinners a week, but yet, as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest representatives we've ever had for our city. And I'm like John, I love level harp. But John was always there. He's always had good stories. He always had your attention. And John done us a great job. And you know, I feel like that getting back to community activities, that the younger people, Norm, don't get involved today. And it's so sad when I look at Lions Club. My dad was the first president of the Lions Club. And
about when would that have been,
oh
Jay?
my, I can't answer that. But whenever they chartered, Dad was the of course, he's the 88 now. I'm sure if he could tell his stories, he could enlighten everybody here. But but on the other hand, of course, Dad built Broadview Addition, built several bowling alleys. He's always been active. But for many years, he was involved with the Lions and different activities.
Jay, whenever I hear the name Jay Fiddler, when I hear the name John Williams, even if people that have been watching this program, maybe they've never even had a chance actually to ever meet either of you. But your names, you guys have built a reputation in the community where the Fiddler name, the Williams name, is one that brings honor to the community. And this is not only through your efforts. It is a great deal through your efforts, but it's because of parents, grandparents. When you
Sure.
say over the years that instilled this kind of, you guys have a work ethic. You have a more obligation to the community, and therefore this is what we try to get through to young people today. That we are part of a community.
It's hard to do that, Norm. And even in JCs, and I know John has seen this in other organizations, but it's hard to get young people involved because first of all, Norm, they got a problem. They got a family at home. It's taken both the couple to work and to try to make it today. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not an easy world to live in, but if people would realize that they would just donate or help a little bit. You know, of course, I'm not on any boards other than the City Plan Commission, and through his efforts, I've been on there for many, many years, but he asked me to get back on for a year to get through the comprehensive study, and then he kept sending me a letter. Now, we'd like to have another 4 years, and of course, next thing I know, I've been on there 40 years now. But the thing about it is, it's an important part of the community.
Yes.
There's so many different things that are important to this town, and if people would just get involved, and if the young people could see what it takes to do this, it's not a big effort. It's just a matter of being there and helping.
Yes.
And but even in JCs, I seen the activity start downhill. Trying to get people out to work. I had the 4th of July event in my presidency that was a 2-day event. We had to hire people on the second day to come out and help to operate some of the booths and stuff because it was hard to get people back out.
Yes.
I mean, but it's not only that Lions Club today. I mean, when you look at their membership, it's older people, and hard to find those younger people to come in and get involved.
Well, Jay, whenever I think about, of course, the upcoming July 4th celebration that's coming up, you know, we have one of the best, and again, I I'm going to be speaking with favoritism because I'm a member of this community. I love this community. This community is home to me. But we have one of the best July 4th parades anywhere around. I'm saying certainly in southern Indiana, we have one of the best July 4th. We have one of the best fireworks display on every July the 4th that people take for granted that it's just going to be there.
Yeah.
But there are people that have had to work hard to put that parade together, to be able to raise the money to put on those fireworks. It just doesn't happen, does it, Jay?
No, it doesn't.
There's people behind there that have spent a
People
great
behind
deal
the
of time.
scenes, yeah.
People don't realize that, do they?
They don't realize that. They don't realize that that naturally our merchants have been the big contributors to this, and of course through the efforts of JC's, not only what we would raise monies through solicitations and send in letters to the community, but also through the 4th of July project that we had, which was one of our big fundraisers for the year. And a lot of work. When I went into the organization, we were just starting, and Burl Houchin, who's still serving people today, but anyhow, Burl was on the committee to rebuild all of our JC stands because they were wore out. A lot of them stored in old garage buildings, and we'd go out and drag them out every year and paint them up. And well, anyhow, they raised money to buy a new popcorn machine, a couple new snow cone machines, and the dunk tank, the famous dunk tank, which most of us got to ride. Anyhow, that thing was in total disrepair, and so we built that new. I built it at the shop with angle iron and plywood, and we put it all together with pins, and probably a third the weight, but yet strong. And but yeah, it was a continual work session. Seemed like back then, just to keep that project going.
Right.
So it was a big thing, and then to put them up. And then after the 4th, to go out and tear them all down and haul them all back and put it back in storage for another year. So.
And the JCs, there's a couple of main, whenever I talk to people like you, my mind starts going in 1,000 different directions because of the history that you guys are bringing to this local community. But a couple of things that are jumping in my mind. One, I've got to ask you, it's a little bit off topic, but then I'll get right back on topic. But how did the name Johnny Signs? Johnny, what was the Johnny part
That's
of that?
my dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, my dad started that. My dad started that business in '38, and then he went into the service in 44, 45, and was served for about 17 months as a ball gunner on a B-17. And
where did he serve at? Do you remember, Jay?
He was in Goose Bay. He served in England.
Okay.
For like I say, he flew. I took him up to see the B-17s up in Bloomington last year.
I bet he enjoyed that.
He loved it. In fact, he wanted to get back in the ball, and the guy says, "No, John." Of course, here he is in a wheelchair, wanting to get back in that ball, and I could never realize how small that ball was. He always told me how little it was, but she was in a crouched position to even be able to operate that gunnery. But anyhow, Dad started, and then my grandfather retired from the mills, stone mills, and worked with Dad for some time. And of course, like I say, I worked with my dad for some time. We used to paint Robertson's feed mill barns. We'd go out on weekends, and I'd work with the old man, help him rig and keep the paint pots full, and spray the barns, and then we'd go back a couple of days and put the signs on them.
And that was Robertson?
Robertson's feed mill. It used to be down here where the city offices is, down there across from
You remember any of those, John?
Oh, I was there when it burned down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, remember that the Sahara melted the aluminum siding on the houses across the street.
Okay. Again, where was that at? The Robertson feed
On the
mill?
corner of 17th Street and L.
Lincoln, L. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, big mill there.
And it was there for several years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we done a lot of work for that company. We done a lot of work for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, back then, like I said, just whatever it took. You know, we had the first crane in town that, other than Stone City Products crane, and it was an old crank crane. Mm-hmm. And I tell people all the time, I said, it's how nice it is to go out and push a button instead of cranking on this stuff and trying to make it work and lifting the weights and stuff. Of course, you know, you start out from small beginnings, and how fortunate we are today, Norm.
Makes you sure appreciate some of the
Oh
modern
my,
conveniences, doesn't it?
people don't realize straight ladders, carried them for years to be able to work on a sign.
Yeah.
And dangerous, not only dangerous, but not only that, but it was so hard to work out of.
Right.
Trying to balance yourself on straight ladders and drill a hole in a wall.
I look back in the 60s, mid-60s, getting back to July 4th, and again, I'd love to just, I mean, there's a program right there just on your company that we could do. But looking back in the 60s, let me give you a little bit of my very pleasant remembrances. But back in the mid-60s, the July 4th were spent at Wilson Park.
Right.
And what I can remember is that even earlier than that, one thing that I always wanted to be able to do when I was older was to be able to play on one of those July 4th baseball games that were at Wilson Park. It seemed like, and I always remember that, always had great crowds, and to be able to play on July 4th at Wilson Park would have been a great honor. But we had watermelon eating. This was an all-day event. We arrived early in the day on July 4th. We had watermelon eating. We had pig chasing, grease pig chasing. Yeah. We had climbing the grease pole. There were all these activities for kids. Sack races,
yeah.
All day long. Mm-hmm. And then in the evening, of course, when it got dark, you had the fireworks celebration. You had I can remember sitting on the hillside there at Wilson Park and watching and just with huge crowds, watching the fireworks that probably was in the Parkview area there. So, I mean, it was a full day event for a kid. And what great memories that we have in there. Now, how was the JCs involved with that? And what JC's, what is that organization again? What does that stand for?
It's a Junior Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
And of course, people always thought it was affiliated with the Chamber of Commerce, but actually it was started years ago by a dance group, believe it or not, and they decided to start doing civic type activities, and then they went around and started forming chapters, and of course the chapter here. Our first chapter was formed by Frank Sanders, and he was 1936-37 president of the Bedford JCs, and it just started from there, just helping the community. And like I said, we've had everything from toll roads for the March of Dimes. We had bicycle safety check. Of course, the 4th of July was our big project. But there wasn't anything that we wouldn't tackle as far as a project if we thought there was some money in it and would help the community.
How did you raise all the money? There would have been a lot of money put into something like that. Well, the fireworks itself.
The fireworks itself back then, Norm, believe it or not, was around $700 or $800 when I first went in. I think it was about $1,500 when I left the organization. Okay. Of course, you stop back and think, it's 60s, in the 1960s, $1,500 was a lot of money.
A lot of money, yeah.
And again, through the efforts of through the 4th of July and solicitations, we could always pay for our fireworks. It was, of course, we had a lot of prep work that we done. We went out and they'd send a technician in. We would go out and dig all the post holes for them. We had the setup crew that would do that, and then of course we had the people that operated the different stands, and but anyhow, they would go out and put all the 2x4s in, and then the technician would string all the wiring and everything and the fuses that would take to set up the displays. Yeah. So it was quite a big day, and I don't mind telling you, it was always a job. I remember the first year I operated a booth over there. It was a novelty booth, and I'd never done that before. So Donnie DePere and I took chairmanship of that novelty booth, which not only supplied all the novelties for the stands for the gifts, but he and I made a trip to Kip Brothers up in Indianapolis, and I took my El Camino up there, and we just had a rounded pickup bed full of novelties that we brought back. And can you what kind of novelties?
Well,
I've got
kind of an idea in my mind,
the circus whips, you know, and the bugle horns and balloons and plaster, little plaster trophies and stuff that was given away. And anyhow, we had a glassware, just anything we could find that we thought the kids might like. And so anyhow, we got back, and the guy that was supposed to help, I won't mention his name, but Donnie and I was getting all the stuff arranged in the novelty stand and waiting for this guy to come in and tell us, and he was going to help us. Well, he come by and told us, says, you know, I'm not going to be able to help you today because the wife said we was going on a picnic. And I says, well, wait, how do we do this? And he says, just mark it up and sell it. And I says, well, we've never done it before. And he says, you'll learn. well, we did. And like I said, of course, we distributed the gifts to the other stands, and every now and then they'd come up and say, hey, we're out of this, we need this. So we'd pass out some more gifts at the end of the evening. Other than blisters on my fingers from tying balloons, only thing we had left in there, Norm, was the string that tied the balloons. So we had a great day, and of course, we learned, yes, we learned, and made the most profit of any time that they ever had anybody operate the novelty stand.
Well, Jay, back in the 1960s, were families coming to, actual families? I mean, I can remember kids, of course. But I mean, would they bring their picnic baskets?
Well, they would. If you remember the band shell down over the hill there, they had the band shell there, and of course, Arky and the Playboys, they would.
I can remember Arky and the Playboys.
Okay, they would set it up. Here's the year that I was. The year that I was chairman. And of course,
let's see if we can get that on the camera. Hey, that's still in great. What about you? What year was this newspaper here?
65.
65. Okay.
And
hold it up here just a little bit more here. I'll get it. The Bedford JC's July 4th celebration, 1965. Hey, I could really look reading on the back here of the Sport Talk and some of the great. Programs, but this gives you an idea then of the activities that were going on during this time.
Yes. And here's one from 76, and of course it talks about the different activities such as the open air worship service, flag raising ceremonies, and the Midway opens at 10 o'clock. Cowboy Bob was there. And then they had the Babe Ruth League baseball game. Uncle Clem will begin making his rounds. Children's games begins at 1:30. Babe Ruth League baseball, karate demonstration, Dixon Dance Studio, music by the Good Times, and Babe Ruth League baseball again at 5 o'clock. Leroy and the Lonesome Travelers.
Now, I don't remember them. You remember them, John?
Yeah, they were lonesome.
You didn't sing for them, did you?
No.
Okay.
They had a liars contest also.
What's a liars contest, by the way? Who could tell?
Now, you know what? If you were
John wasn't involved in that.
No, John wasn't involved in that one.
He was
in the dart stand. And then at 10 o'clock they had a fireworks display. And then at 10:30, they had the teen dance at the Armory with Copperfield. And then at 11 o'clock, the Midway closes. And, of course, as you can see, this was 1976.
1976, that's a bicentennial
year. And it was a big event the whole year long. And so it was just a great time. Again, if you were working there at the stands like the JCs were those days, you didn't look up. I mean, I can remember the hot dog stand working that one year, and right before fireworks. Now you better have plenty of hot dogs ready because they just came in groves, and as fast as you could load them on the buns, like 10 of us in there working, you couldn't sell them fast enough.
Jay, I bet you guys got started at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, the day before, the week
before. Well, we did. Yeah, we set up. We set up like 3 or 4 days before getting our stands up, and then the day before we would take a lot of our product out there. They would start popping corn early, just to be able to keep up with the crowd that evening. And so, like I said, it was a big event and a lot of work and a lot of dedicated people that it took to put this show on.
Right. John, what do you remember about the programs during this time, the July 4th
quite a bit, actually. I was a member of the JCs during the time that the J was the president, and he was the JC's for all practical purposes. You mentioned the liars contest a moment ago. I remember one of the lies, I think, because a fellow talked about the shadow of the pendulum on the clock had worn a hole in the back of the clock. It was a busy time and a special time for special people. Of course, 4th of July celebration belongs to everybody. That's what makes it such an important holiday.
Right.
America has a chance to really be proud of itself and to step up. And some years they'll go a while without the 4th of July celebration or without a whole lot. But Bedford was where it was going. That's where it was happening.
Yeah.
In this period of time that Jay's talking about, and the JCs made it happen.
Yes.
And Burl and Jay and Roger Hitchcock and Gordon Emery and me,
Yeah.
and we had a big time. But Wilson Park was where it was all taking place. And it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it wasn't really conducive to the kind of a celebration that it had finally grown into. And people would gather. There was no lighting. There was no parking to speak of.
Yeah, where did people park?
Well, that's what
a
I'm
good
coming
question.
to. That's one reason.
Okay.
While I was mayor, we had an opportunity to move it. Several people had complained in the neighborhood. People were parking and walking through yards, clotheslines, bird baths, flower beds, and we need to get it. And the fireworks, the skyrocket things, a lot of the debris was coming down on top of the people. No one, I think, was ever seriously hurt. But it was a time, and Bedford was hosting it, and the JCs were the ones that were raising the money. Now, we mentioned a while ago what the fireworks cost. What did you say, $1,500 the last year we did it, Jay?
Right.
Well, when the JCs went by the wayside and the fundraising went by the wayside, I was in the mayor's office, and I thought the last thing I'm going to give up in this mayor's office is Bedford not having a 4th of July fireworks display. So the city paid for it. So the next few years, they run it for about $10,000, between $8,000 and $10,000. And you need to get a little special insurance in case a rocket goes down somebody's shirt, breaks his leg, or whatever it happens to be. But from there on, it was pretty much penny pinching to try to get it taken care of. Yeah. We moved it over to the football field at the what we call the junior high school. And at that time, of course, now it's just a grade school over there. But that worked out. You see people at a 4th of July fireworks celebration you never see any other time. And more people celebrate it because, like I said earlier, it's something everybody has an interest in, you know.
Well, wasn't this like a homecoming in this? I mean,
well, I don't know so much.
Didn't people get together? I mean, it was a part of again, one of the good memories, people getting together for cookouts and just incorporated all this. Did they come over there to cook out?
I think that's always been part of it, but there wasn't any cooking out over at
No, I don't remember them cooking out
there. It was hot dogs and things,
Yeah.
Jay told. You mentioned a moment ago, I remember one year, and I'll tell this because I guess there's poor enough past we won't get sued, Jay. We were running a booth that had balloons. We blow up balloons and then throw darts at them. And there was 3 darts for maybe a dime.
Yeah, dime or quarter.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're just about over there, about where to make sure we were at Wilson Park. And the kids were leaning over watching, they're throwing darts. And this one girl had her arms over looking at where the balloons were and the darts, and somebody threw a dart, and it stuck right here between her 3rd and 4th rib. Well, I can't say exactly what rib it was, but it was in there, and it stayed there.
Yeah.
And we just went on like, well, here, we'll need that dart here for the rest of this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, we're in trouble now, you know. Yeah. So later on in the day, when we sure the police weren't around, well, we did away with the balloons and kept places and put up dollar bills. And we had one $5 bill up there. I think we were running out of balloons, and people were throwing at that. So we didn't say she had to forget about it, but we gave her that $5 bill before she left. Nothing was ever said about it again. Now, that's been, 40-some years ago?
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't get sued?
No.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
We probably will now.
Well, the Duncan booth, was it in session during this time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've been in the Duncan. I hate being in the Duncan booth.
Yeah.
It is a weird feeling. Been on there, and when it finally, your seat goes out from underneath you. I don't like the Duncan booth, but I guess you guys.
We needed the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was popular.
We always had a lot of activity when we when we could get a politician or a teacher or somebody in the dunk booth. We always had a lot of activity there. So-
Did you want someone obnoxious in the dunk booth?
Well,
Did that
some of
help?
them got obnoxious, but that's what kept the crowd going. See, I mean, if they'd start hollering at them, and you can't, you look like a sissy throwing that ball.
Yeah,
And boy,
yeah,
I tell
right,
you, they'd buy more so they could just
Right.
get them in the tank.
Yeah, I've always been a Purdue fan, so all I had to do was put on a Purdue T-shirt and be up there, and I got money for the organization because people love to see me go in the water.
We could use you over at the dart booth.
Yeah.
Well, in the 1960s, this is something that, and it's going to stir the memory for a lot of people. All this activities. This was just a full day. You crammed a bit, but it was very family oriented. It was something that the whole family could be involved with.
Yeah.
And of course, in the grand finale was the fireworks, obviously. But you know, even the day for you guys would have lasted long before after that. This was a big day.
But things have changed to the point that it's basically just down to fireworks now.
Right.
And we tried to incorporate a Limestone Heritage Festival
Yes.
week with the fireworks, coming to end with the fireworks.
Right.
And we planted some extra trees and ran in some water lines over on what's now Bryan Lane Way, which was S Street, I guess at the time. And we had Carnival that came in. We made some money there.
Right.
But people in the neighborhood got a petition up and passed it with several signing it that didn't want the carnival in their neighborhood.
Okay.
So that was the best moneymaker we had since the J.C.'s went out of
Yeah.
existence. But
Yeah.
I said, well, you know, I'm not here to cause problems. They don't want it. We were just trying to have a celebration for Bedford.
Well,
Keep it going.
What
We
year?
had-
What year did the J.C.'s finally?
You know, I can't answer that, Norm. All I know is that the J.C.'s, we had it at Wilson Park for years, and they decided to take it to the 4-H fairgrounds. Took it out there for 2 or 3 years.
Too
and then
far
it-
away.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it was too far away. And then
Right.
then it came back, and then it started as the Limestone Heritage Festival, and the city was involved, and it turned out to be a great event, and still is today. But again, like John says, it's more oriented to the fireworks display itself now.
Well, it was a week long. And we had people doing stone carvings because of the limestone
Right.
aspect of it. We had a play going on, a little theater, a patriotic play and songs of this nature. We had cloggers that come in. The community band would sing. We had a carnival. We had an auction of limestone items. We had the art display down at the Boys Club. We had a quilt display over at the school. There was all kinds of things that were going on, and they had tennis tournaments. We had golf tournaments. We had lots of items that connected with it, but it just didn't work.
It has changed a lot since, obviously, it seemed like my remembrances, it was some good years, absolutely some good
It's
years.
down
for
to the fireworks. It's down to the residue playing on that Sunday before the 4th of July. We're at the open air pavilion at Thornton Park. It's an ice cream social. There's several items that are still involved with it, but it was not what we envisioned it to be a week-long. A fish fry with the Rotary Club,
Right.
which takes place this year on the 3rd.
Yeah.
And so we tried to incorporate, so we've held on to some of the things that seem to be the most important. But the J.C.'s had, every store in town, downtown, had a thing that said
Yeah.
4th of July celebration, and when it was going to be. For a lot of folks, it was just something that happened between the 3rd and the 5th of July. But the small communities out here, at that time, there wasn't much going on in Lawrence County as far as 4th of July, with the exception of Bedford and the J.C.'s
That's
and
true.
Wilson Park.
That's true.
Now, we've taken pride in ourselves and our country and our communities again, and you'll see all kinds of things going on. And Springville just finished with a festival of some sort, and Mitchell has a fireworks display, and I think Heltonville has a fireworks display, and it comes and goes. In election years, especially presidential election years, people feel a little more involved with their country. And after battles like the Civil War and World War I and World War II, and veterans coming back, and
Right.
meetings all day and orations and judges and firebrands out here that sounding like John Adams and the people that framed our Constitution to begin with, or the Declaration of Independence. So it kind of comes and goes, and at one time I think a plane would fly over. I was talking to Ron Bell yesterday, And he said you'd put maybe a couple of dimes or a quarter in an envelope, and we'd fly over. And you remember that, and drop
the
these
money?
out into the.
No, I don't, John. I do remember the salutes that the JCs used to have, and they'd fire that salute, and here would come a parachute down with a silver dollar on it. And we had to stop that because he was climbing the trees in the neighborhoods where it was coming down. And the neighbors got to complaining and saying, you know, they're breaking the limbs out of our trees. Well, we didn't know where it was going to come down at, but...
Was it was it several silver dollars or just one silver dollar?
No, they would do that every hour. And,
They would do it, oh, okay.
yeah,
I don't remember that.
They would shoot, well, that's been a few years ago now.
Okay.
And a lot
All
of
right.
folks wouldn't want to get into town, and this was the closest thing to a traffic jam you'd ever experience in Bedford for the 4th of July, trying
Yes,
to get out
that's
of
right.
Wilson Park or
Oh,
find
yeah.
your car
Yeah.
and get out of there. So they'd find a high hill someplace around like, well, we've got one in every direction
Every
going
direction,
out of
yeah,
here,
yeah.
and they could see the fireworks from there. Williams has a thunder over the dam,
Right.
thunder over Williams
Oh, do they?
thing
Right.
down there. Yeah. So it's being picked up again, and most every community now has some sort of a, so Huron has a Memorial Day parade. I realize it's not the 4th of July, but it's people stepping up and doing
Right.
something and saying, well, where we came from, we had something like this. We could have something like that here, instead of saying, well, we tried that once and it didn't work, or it's going to take too much effort, or who's going to do it. You had preachers, you had elected officials, you had people running for public office, you had these fiery speeches going on about the freedom and past. You had veterans from all these wars with the marching parades were big, bands were big.
Yeah.
There was a college down at Mitchell, the Central Normal. They had a glee club. Everybody got involved.
Right.
And then they usually had a dinner of some sort that's out in the county. And that
but it
went
took-
away, and then it comes back. So now it's back.
It took an organization, though, to get all these people involved and getting all this coordinated. I mean, it took a lot of work. Again, JCs that made all these contacts, got all these people together. Again, that's quite a job you guys have done.
Well, it's the right holiday for the right reasons, and it's in the right time of year. If you're ever going to have a dandy day, it's probably going to be a hot day, but it's going to be the 4th of July. So, and it's the last holiday that really amounts to anything till you get to Labor Day.
That's true.
Yeah.
Outside of my birthday.
Yeah, we got. Well, there's something else that I can remember. See if you guys can remember this. The Beetle Burgers. This Jay. Now I talked to Russ Owen a little bit.
He'll lie to you.
And
Can't believe it. Can't believe the thing he said.
I couldn't get much out of Russ. In fact, he gave me your name. Dale Bowden gave me your
That's
name.
what I
Jay.
said. He'll lie to you.
But I said, well, Russ, tell me about I can remember the Beetle Burgers. I can remember.
He's the one that started it.
Well, yeah, I know. Well, he said, he couldn't remember a whole lot about it, but now, but he said, now get hold of Jay Fiddler. So now I got hold of Jay Fiddler.
That's where we got the burgers with pay and packet.
They got the
Pay and Packet.
Yeah,
the first
right
Buddy
on
owes
Fifth Street.
Dad and Buddy.
Right.
Yeah, the first Beetle Burger was at Pan Packet.
Okay.
And,
when would this have been the 60s? Obviously when the Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
We ate as many as we sold.
Now this
Tried to.
this wasn't Beetle. This was the Beatles. This was the singing
They were big. They were big
Beatle.
at the time, and we associated with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Did the JCs do the Beetle Burgers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Buddy Owen actually is the one that started the Beetle Burger sale, and it was up on the parking lot of Pan Packet. We took one of our booths from the 4th of July stands and set it up and had a great success at it.
Yeah.
And then in later years, to get more exposure, we moved it down at Loudon's Food Fair. And we set up on that corner, and of course, if you worked over that grill for any time at all, and one Memorial Day weekend, I've got an article at home I ran into last night when I was looking for these papers. We sold $616 worth of hamburgers.
Well, that's a lot.
And
How much were the hamburgers in, Jay? Any
oh,
idea?
I believe what, John? Were they $5 for $1 or?
Yeah, we had you could buy a lot for.
You could get a
For
sack
large.
full.
I remember Mom and Dad going to get a sack
yeah.
full of them.
Oh,
Though.
yeah.
It was.
We never got over 50 cents a piece for them. I don't think.
No. I think it started out $5 for $1 or something like that, and when it first started, then I think we got it to $4 for $1, and then one year we had it at the Satellite Drive-In, which that was owned by Ron Watson up there by
Right,
Mach 3,
right,
and of course we pretty well cut his margins for that day, but
But he
Ron,
let you have it there on his lot?
Well, no, what Ron done, he says, you know, being the fact that you're taking all my profit for that day, why don't you just operate here in the satellite drive-in?
Ron's place was called the Satellite.
And he had the satellite
down M
drive-in,
Street.
and so anyhow, he let us operate there for the day and use their grill and the beef and everything, and we use that as some of our proceeds.
JC's had a clubhouse. We haven't talked about that. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Jay?
Yeah.
Well, we
You built
always
it.
stored all of our stands, everything that we had, in garages. And in fact, when we started building all of these stands, or rebuilding the stands, we was up here in a little building called the Bland Poultry House, which was there on the back of Stone City Bank in an old building. And here we was up there. We had a light bulb, I think, and trying to work of a night. Then we had
one light bulb.
right up here across from Armstrong Furniture. There was another old building there that people would let us use these buildings. Well, we stored our stands there. Of course, it was hard getting them in and out and everything. And of course, the dip tank was, I mean, it took 3 men and a boy to lift up one of the panels on it because it was built out of 2 by 6 ton group. Well, anyhow, we kept talking about a JC building. People said, oh, that'll never get done. We've talked about that for years. And I says, well, we can do it. I says, I know we can do it. Well, anyhow, we started solicitations, and I started hustling people for steel and block and ground, and we bought land from Roscoe Linville. We advertised in the paper. Dale Strange was president at the time, and we advertised in the paper for a good buy on a piece of land. Well, Roscoe Linville, out on Norton Lane, he called us and said, I've got a piece of land that I'll make you a good deal on. And so we went out and talked with him, and he said, you know, the reason I'm doing this is because I had a heart attack a few years ago. And he said, we were really destitute. And he says, you know who come around with a Thanksgiving basket? It was the JCs.
You see, we did more than just meet the day before the 4th of July.
Oh, I know.
We had a lot of things going on.
A lot of things.
And a lot of things in that clubhouse. We had
So giving baskets at Thanksgiving was another.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
times that
Oh.
We'd have political opponents come in and
yeah.
speak
Oh, yeah.
to us. It
And-
was
and
more than just fireworks.
And we would have state
Something
people.
at Christmas too, I assume, for kids or something.
We had something going on
Yeah.
all the time.
Always going on all the time. But anyhow, we bought the land, and then we made plans to build a building. Well, I went around talking to different contractors. McIntyre donated some steel, and we got Rogers Block to give us a good deal on concrete block and concrete. And of course, we was doing this through the efforts of the Bedford JCs building this building, and it took us about 1.5 years to build it. I kind of burnt the boys out after we got about 3/4 the way through. We had all the block walls up and the windows in, and here we are getting ready to go into winter. And I says, guys, let me tell you something. I can't do it by myself. The walls are up. They're high enough that the wind will blow them over. If we don't get help, I'm going to leave the project. So I re-energized them, and here they came. And so we got the roof on and got our all of the tar paper and the build-up roof on. And when we got all done, Norm, I think we owed somewhere around $3,000 on the building. And of course, a lot of it was through the help of the JCs, but also the community.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was the third JC clubhouse in the state. Well, one of the reasons for building it, because we were meeting up above Stevenson's Clothier downtown, right there on J Street. Had a little old room up there in the front, and so we met there for a long time, and so we decided not only we needed a place to meet, but we also needed a place to store our stands. So we built the building as a dual purpose, and finally got it done. Had a big celebration whenever Mayor Houck was there, and we had a celebration with some state representatives from the JCs, and nice facility.
I'd like to mention that around the turn of the century, around 1900, the popular thing was to go on a Sunday or whenever the 4th was, and to a place like Trinity Springs, where they had the equivalent of Pluto water that they have down at French Lick. It was a mineral water, and you could smell it forever, and it was a day of homemade ice cream and dancing. They had a swimming pool, and people would take a basket lunch. And that same scenario played out Leonard Springs, and there's an article in an 1887 Bedford Times Mail, I guess it was called the Lawrence at that time, the newspaper, held at Rock Lick, and Mitchell had a big celebration. And so this thing went on over and over, but it was the trend to go hot springs and mineral springs and Glenwood Springs, and if it really smelled bad and tasted awful, chances are it was really good for you, you know. And so there was I've heard my family, and you have too, talk about the pilgrimages made to Trinity Springs from all directions for the 4th of July celebration. So those were big deals. Wasn't anything else going on. And of course, farm people, unless it was the 4th of July fell on a Sunday, most of them were too far away to make it to anything else. But this was a tradition. Yeah. And there's been a lot written about it, and anyone listening or watching that has affiliation with Martin County and Trinity Springs, the Indian Springs, and these places will remember times like that. So it was a different time. But the same kind of folks, the same kind of patriotism in here, and proud of their country, that wanted to step up and make something special out of it. And I'm just glad I had a chance to be a part of the JCs and make a difference. Hopefully made a difference. That it was a lot of fun with a lot of great guys.
Yes, it was.
Well, we're going to have to wrap up. We've touched on some great things. And John, you're kind of getting into, was going to be my last question for you guys, was that, again, what do you remember as the 4th of July when you were young? And that's one of the things you remember. Is there anything else that really, around the July 4th, that you remember when you were a kid or a young man?
What I remember most is that I didn't have any fireworks. Everybody else had fireworks, and they weren't supposed to. And of course, they were illegal here for a long time. Right. But I was crazy for them, and so was every kid that didn't have any.
Every boy.
And you could buy them if you knew the right people. Why, you could get them. Had an aunt or an uncle that had been through Tennessee in the last few weeks. They could bring you back.
Somebody made a great biz down in Tennessee for Indiana.
Well, of course, right. But that's what I remember is the noise and the beauty and I'm still as old as I am, and I don't know anybody that really, if they have hair on the back of their neck and they play in the national anthem and these rockets are going off.
That's true. That is true.
It still affects me, and it's still wonderful.
Well, where did you go then, John, whenever you were young, and you were raised around Williams? Where did you go for 4th of July?
My parents never took me to the 4th of July at Bedford. I'd get a ride with somebody that was going up there, and that was my outside. Right. And it was on a weekend or a Sunday, why we'd have a family dinner, farm people, and that's what. But there wasn't any too much celebration other than we were thankful for our food and thankful for our country and the people that caused us to have a reason for a 4th of July. Our forefathers and the framers of this Declaration of Independence set out when they first did it that we were supposed to celebrate with noise and speeches, and that
all
was
the ballyhoo took.
From the first day that they signed onto the Declaration of Independence, which was pretty much signing their own death warrant. If they got caught, and some of them were. That this was what we were supposed to do, is to take time out and be thankful for somebody that laid it all on the line for us all these many, many years ago. So,
John, one thing you did mention, though, that some of maybe the farmers did get together maybe for a little dinner, a picnic or something.
Churches would have were kind of a focal point meeting. That's where people exchanged news, and of course there were fraternities, the Lodge and the Red Men and the Odd Fellows and this kind of stuff, with an exchange. There wasn't any television or radio, so it was not only a meeting of something to belong to, but it was an opportunity to exchange how the hens were laying and how the alfalfa was going in the back 40 and this kind of stuff. So
pleasant memory for you.
Yeah, and it was people met at different places for different reasons. And today, why everybody knows exactly what's going on everywhere in the world, just like this. So it's a different time.
It's a different
same country and same reason that we founded it. So and I'm very proud of it, and I hope we never lose sight of the fact that how we got it, what it's taken to keep it.
That's right.
When we talk about illegal fireworks, they're certainly, they were illegal at that time, but it seemed like in my growing up, there were black cats and black bats. These were
yeah.
firecrackers. There seemed to be a lot of it around.
Yeah. Cherry bombs.
Cherry bombs, yeah.
Yeah.
Jay, thinking back into your younger years, what did you do on the 4th of July?
Well, basically, we would have family outings, and of course, I was fortunate enough to have an uncle that lived in Tennessee, and when they did come up, I always hustled him for fireworks, and he'd bring up a few dollars worth, and of course, just like John says, every kid, it just seemed like they had to be in the middle of all of that, and but you know, I just enjoyed. Of course, living close to the drive-in theater, which was close to Wilson Park. I'd go over there as many times as I could down through the years to see the different activities, and you know, I not thinking that one day that I would be a part of that and help put on that celebration. But you know, it's getting back to people that need to take the time and look and see what it takes to put these projects together. How I learned from this has been great for me and my business, and you know, so much you can learn and working with people, and making sure that people are going to do what they say. Just like a lot of the projects that we had on the March of Dimes and different things, setting up your programs and calling these people and hustle them, and hey, you know, it's your time here to be sure to be here now, and you know, a lot of camaraderie during those periods of time, and I will never forget my days in JC's, and the great times that we had, the people that I've not seen in years, but every now and then I'll see something and think of those people, and think of the times we've had. We went to state conventions, Region E meets, and it was a busy time, but on the other hand, enjoyed every minute of it. And
I can tell for you too, when you think about their time, it was hard work during this time, but it sure is bringing back pleasant memories.
It was hard work, but it was fun.
You met some great people. I wanted to say on behalf of the community, as we wrap up this program, thank you to Jay and John for helping to make my memories of July 4th back in the mid-'60s such a great event. It was because of people like this that we have great events. And whenever we go down, we see the great parade that we have here on July 4th. We see the fireworks on July 4th. Enjoy them, but also remember that there were a number of people that worked hard to put this on. And again, as John has mentioned 2 or 3 times, there is a reason for this celebration. We live in the greatest country in the world, and to celebrate the birthday of the greatest country, it is indeed a privilege.
Right.
I want to close and say that my wife is from Greenfield, and so she's a transplant here in Lawrence County. But she has said many times, she says Lawrence County, Bedford, has the greatest July 4th celebration she's ever been involved with. When you see this, probably I will be out in Montana. Actually, I'm going to Little Bighorn Battlefield, which I've wanted to do for years, going to Wounded Knee, South Dakota, I'll be at Yellowstone, and I'm going to be all over the place, and then finally taking the school supplies to the Cherokee children that you guys helped me to raise over the year. But so I'm going to be gone for a while. But my wife, whenever I told her about the time frame that we were going, she said, "Oh, I'm going to miss the parade and the fireworks here in town, aren't I?" And you know, she still doesn't like that because this means a lot to her. And you know, we raised the kids like that. The grandkids are being raised like that. And you know, whenever I see all these young kids and oohing and awing at the fireworks, you know, it's been the past. It's been the people of the past that has worked, such as these gentlemen that we've had on, to set in that tradition that we have in this county, and it still lives today because of these people in the community. And we say thank you. Thanks for watching.